Hey. Hi, guys. All right, so this is going to be a bonus message, and it's a part two for the today's topic video for the 11th. In that one, I asked you guys if you wanted a part two, just let me know, and many of you did. And so we'd left that one kind of on a cliffhanger, but I didn't know if anybody was going to care about it. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and leave it up to you, and then on the 11th, we'll do a part two if you guys want it. And so you did. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just know I put a free link right there in the description box that if you click on that, it'll take you to that video. You can watch that one, and then you can bounce back over here and you'll be all caught up and you'll see where we're picking up. So as a brief recap, that video, I think I titled it like somebody who could no longer live like a karmic lie. They had been married in a karmic situation. They were in a rut. They were married to the wrong person who was also in a rut. And at the time, I think that he was a king of wands, and married to a queen of wands, but both were in the reverse. And it was kind of like he'd been more or less like coerced into believing that even if something is wrong for you, you stay anyway. Stay in a marriage, stay in something. And it was like there was a lot of coercion. And finally, like we saw images of him like going into the bathroom and crying. And it was finally like, there's no way I can keep doing this. And so I'm done. I'm finally breaking free. And it was the way the storyline had ended is like he was driving away. And in his mind, there was a soulmate. We saw the Six of Cups. And I was like, okay, I don't know what he's doing. Then he came out at the end as like a King of Cups in the reverse. But it was like by dawn, he was kind of deciding, like, I got to go see this soulmate, even though I might need her to basically heal me. But there is somebody that I need to go see. And it kind of left us with this question mark of, so what's going to happen? So that's kind of where we are. Oh, sure. Antea 2000 for sure. Yeah, anything. Please always know, you guys, in these fictional stories, I do my best to try to string together a scenario, but of course there's so many different scenarios any character could be living through, working through in these fictional tales. So please always know, as an audience member, you guys can see it however you wish. You can apply different concepts if you wish. You can apply different, if I say masculine but then you're saying no, I think that's a feminine, just know I only talk about energy anyway. So yeah, always know. Wow, okay, always know you guys can see it however you wish in your mind's eye. The reason I said, oh, wow, is because this card came out in part one as well. And I did the part one, 2 or 3 days ago? We have that Eight of Wands. And I said in part one, it's like this is somebody who'd been like winding around again and again and again, looking at, their life and doing the same kind of mistakes and always having out of reach what they really wanted. And they were staying in a karmic cycle. Let's remember that figure 8 can also represent the infinity symbol. Sometimes that's, now bear in mind, where we're picking the story up is that we're talking about him going toward a soulmate now. He has broken things off with the karmic in that story. We saw him possibly driving away, making the big announcement like, I'm done. I'm not living this lie anymore. I'm leaving, actually leaving. Driving kind of all night is how it looked in part one. But it's so crazy because either this is him now turning his attention to that soulmate, which he may have like an undulating, past life soulmates in particular can be people that we have unfinished business with. So he may have broken one karmic cycle where he was a king in the reverse to shift over to pursue something with a soulmate. But remember, he was approaching the soulmate possibly as a King of Cups in the reverse. And here we go into another cycle. Now, this is about moving forward to connect, to say something, but what are you thinking about this soulmate? And I do feel like this is the new dawning day. He drives all night. He decides he's going to go see this soulmate. By the way, we also had a Four of Wands in the way he feels about her. Like, I know she's the person that I would want as a long-term partner, but I'm coming in knowing full well I want her to heal me, fix me. We have the Magician and we have the Five of Swords. Once again, he is, this is somebody who hasn't yet pulled the threads of himself together fully. This, like, the electrons are buzzing. We're getting the image of a person, but he's like, his particles haven't been pulled together into something where he can clearly identify himself. And here he is punching a mirror as he looks at himself. It's so crazy because I feel like even the decision to go see a soulmate is one that still causes like another layer of distress, maybe because of the frustration, like, why didn't I do this sooner? Why he seems mad at himself, even as he's approaching a soulmate. Why are you so mad at yourself on this? Why do you, is it because you took a while to get your own identity and you're still actually like pulling the threads of yourself together and making yourself in the image that you'd like to be? We have a Page of Swords sideways. We have all these cards. I think he's mad at himself because he's reflecting. Why did I stay stuck for so long? Why did I stay with the wrong person for so long? Why did I eat up years? Why did I play that hand of cards instead of refusing to play at all? You know, there are games that we cannot win. So why not choose not to play? I wonder if he's just now realizing, my God, I wasted a bunch of time. I could see why he'd be mad. We have an Ace of Wands. We have the Nine of Coins. He's mad at himself, not at his soulmate, and not at the karmic that he's walked away from, and not at whatever family or the pressures that, you know, he bowed to and stayed stuck. He's not mad at any of that. He's mad at himself. But I think it's, look, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. This is him maybe sending up a prayer now saying, oh my God, what is the soulmate going to think when I walk into her world? I am hoping and praying that she won't see me as somebody that's just coming in as a lunatic into her world, you know, somebody who swaggers in and acts like I can still have her, I can have whatever I want. He's really frustrated that, you know, when we break away from something and then we can see it so clearly, like, oh my God, that was total trash. What the heck was I doing? You know, I think that's a very relatable message. I think any of us who've ever gone through something in life and we stayed in a scenario that really wasn't right for us, but we stayed for a while anyway. It's not till we break away that we look back and go, I totally hated that. That was so not right for me. And that upset me. And it was awful. All of that seems to be here for this character. Like, he's so aware that this didn't suit me one bit. Now here I am, like, with that clarity, but thinking about facing my soulmate, and I'm hoping and praying that she'll be able to see me as someone who has something to offer, even if I personally am only like shaming myself for not having done this a long time ago. Almost like he's worried, will she see me as somebody who was so weak for so long? Because that's what he sees himself as. Emperor sideways. And this is such a great depiction because he was so stuck. You know, he's got like a cannonball anchored to his foot here, and he's made out of statuary, but then the other half of him is flesh and blood. And he's like, I mean, I'm trying to go talk to a soulmate and hoping that they're going to see me as this great catch. I want them to want to be with me after I've made all these mistakes, after I stayed stuck, after I couldn't break away, after I couldn't stand up for myself. How am I supposed to have them look at me like this? Again, this is him mostly heaping, you know, shame upon himself for what he perceives as his weakness or his malleability of, you know, the way he was coerced. The thing is, let's just take a look at that soulmate. Soulmate, what do you think of him first off? Just not even right now, but what do you think of him as a whole? Two of Cups and the Magician. This soulmate doesn't have a bad opinion of him. In fact, if anything, you know, it's funny how, like, anyone who's been alive long enough knows life is complicated. It's easy to get guilted into things. It's hard to stand up for ourselves, but that doesn't really have to do with whether or not we love somebody. This soulmate says, I thought they were a Two of Cups to me, and honestly, I always figured that at some point they could figure out what life they want to manifest. This soulmate does not hold this, you know, terrible image of him. He holds the terrible image of himself. Like, that's, I would say that's great testament to the kind of unconditional love that we give someone. I'm wondering if the soulmate knew. It's like, I know he was with a karmic, and I know he was in a karmic cycle of not being able to break it off and stand up for himself. I don't judge him and say, oh, what a weakling, though. I only saw him as somebody who has to figure out how to do that. That's a tall order, but he'll figure it out. We got a 10 of Wands. So the soulmate saw him as somebody who had a lot of burdens. Maybe they were trying to be overly responsible for other people's stuff. Maybe they, you know, there's a lot of different ways that we can get guilted into doing things and feel responsible for things that are not ours. And sometimes then it's the nicest people on earth who get most manipulated into carrying burdens that aren't theirs. And they have the hardest time learning to stand up for themselves. It's not because they're a sap. It's not because they're weak. It's because they're freaking strong and they take responsibilities really serious. And those are the people who can get guilted and manipulated into staying far too long. It's not because they're foolish. It's because they're decent. And I almost feel like we have a soulmate here who knows that and has not judged him harshly for this. If anything, has been like, man, the burdens that fella has been carrying, that's something he's got to hopefully get beyond, but I can't make him get beyond it. Death card. And it was also an acceptance that maybe he'll not get beyond it in this lifetime. Maybe this is where we part ways, but I still believe he will figure it out at some point because everything in life is about transformation. Look, I feel like this soulmate is also aware that maybe I'll say she has been a ghost in his life all this time, because when we still think of somebody, when we still send somebody like our non-judgmental love and we see them for the struggles that they're in, I feel like our presence is still like with them, you know? Anytime we think of somebody, it's a little bit like our presence is there or their presence is here with us, you know? That's why we're all still connected to our ancestors, even people on the other side of the rainbow bridge. Every time you think of someone that you love, whether it be a pet or a family member, that's how they're still with you. Those memories are, you know, kind of as real as if they were still there with you. And so there is a nice way to connect and always keep people with us that we love. And I just kind of feel like there's this energy of, regardless of if I see them again in this lifetime or not, you know, I still carry them with me. I would say that this soulmate has been very, very like non-judgmental. I mean, to an extent where I'm like, geez, this person's like a freaking saint. Are you going to be surprised that they seem to be showing up at dawn or something, showing up in your world? Knight of Swords, Two of Wands, sideways. It's like they said, no, I always knew at some point they may suddenly shock me. I always knew that. I didn't really know when. I've had a couple different times where I expected them to be at my doorstep. I've had multiple times where I thought that and then they didn't. No, this is exactly how she expects him to arrive. He's going to break free suddenly. He's going to make a run for it. And that's when I'll hear from him. It'll be impulsive. It'll be because when something bubbles up inside of you for a long time, there's, think of like boiling a pot of water. You know, it takes a while. The steam builds, it bubbles, and then all of a sudden, you know, like the pot lid is bubbling and water is still spritzing out. You know, or think of a volcano where it's like it's rumbling, it's grumbling, and then finally there's an explosion. It feels like that. Like she fully expected this. I knew it was going to go this route. We have a 9 of Coins. She fully expects him to be in a better place. Now, keep in mind, he's like got this really poor opinion of himself, specifically about like, how am I supposed to show up to her? I hope and pray that she'll see me as like somebody who has something to offer. And he's, you know, figuratively punching a mirror, looking at himself with that 5 of Swords. He's so pissed at himself. Like, how is she going to think that I've got something to offer when I stayed half an emperor who was trapped and stuck for so long? Like, how's she going to respect the choices I've made? And she's over here going, oh yeah, the day he breaks away will be the day that I know that he's, you know, made good decisions for himself. He knows he deserves better. He's freaking out, thinking she's not going to be able to even look at me like I'm somebody who has, you know, a strong backbone. And she's over here going, oh, that's how I'll know when he's able to stand for himself and know that he's deserving of better. It's when he breaks away from that. So their perceptions of strength is very, very different. She doesn't expect somebody to be instantly ready to do things that are going to be perfect. She says that true show of strength is when we have the courage to make the change. That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing perspective for her to have. Okay, I'd like to just take one closer look though at, let's go back to him. So it sounds like you're pissy at yourself. It sounds like you're embarrassed even of yourself, judging yourself far more harshly. But are you really going to go face her? Because man, do not miss out on this one. She is over here like team, king, team, whatever name we want to give him. He's been the person who broke away from a cycle. Okay, she's on your team all the way. We have Temperance, we have the Tower. Is he going to come into her? He absolutely is. I feel like it's going to be like middle of the week or midday or something. With that Temperance card, I'm actually thinking about like a time. We kept saying it was like sleeping on it, and he's driving all night. He's getting up at dawn. He's making this decision. I don't know. Maybe this is like midday or something when he arrives in her world or something, or midweek. But he still shows up with a lot of puzzle pieces missing. I don't think he begins by saying, hi, I did this and that. I think it's almost going to be her who might say, so really good to see you. I'm hoping it means that you chose happiness now instead. And it might be like, that's exactly what he needs to hear, because this is where, oh my God, I can't believe I'm accepted. I can't believe this is where the Tower falls. This is where it's like, okay, all pretense falls away. I almost think he's waiting first for her to either, like, I don't know what she's going to look at me as. I don't know what her first words are going to be. I don't know. I don't want to launch into telling her anything, because what if she wants to chase me off with a broom? She doesn't. I think this is her. We see her hand reaching out and, basically trying to fill in a puzzle piece. Like, I'm happy to see you. I figured if I ever did see you again or talk to you again, there'd probably be a lot to say. Am I right? Please tell me I'm right. Please tell me you're done with some other situation. Please tell me you're here to stay. We got the Knight of Wands in the reverse. This is not something where we leap into, romance. This is just, I'm picturing like waterworks. I'm picturing like a very teary, lengthy, real serious conversation. There's nothing about like, let me romance you, let me come across as suave. This is all just super raw and super real. If that's where he's ready to be with this partnership, I can see how that would be very healing and very soothing also. Two of Cups. This is such a beautiful Two of Cups card, and I'm so sorry that I have to cover so much of it. She's this little water nymph, but she has no clothes on, and she comes up from the sea, and he's here in this energy of, he's part tree, right? So he's been rooted for such a long time in one spot. She's had more freedom, and he's been more, like I said before, like hampered by an overwhelming sense of responsibility, even if it's not where he had wanted to be. This is still, it's a Two of Cups any way we slice it. This is the confirmation that is the unconditional love between these two. We've had some very loving energy and some very romantic and like looks at like when love is bigger than the complications of human life. And it's like, look, I love this person regardless. I know they didn't set out to hurt me. I know there were other complications, and it doesn't change the fact that I love them in spite of whatever happened before. That's the kind of stories we've been getting on, especially today on the 11/11. I think it's maybe just because, the 11/11 portal day is kind of a day for mirrored energies and for choices, more authentic choices to be made about what's real, what matters, what do we really want to manifest. Does it ever behoove us to say, well, I love them, but I'm going to stay mad at them. I love them still, but I'll be pissed because they weren't able to just, break a cycle and move toward me when I wanted them to. That wouldn't that would kind of mean that it's kind of a controlling love, and love isn't controlling, right? Love is protective, it's supportive, it's, uplifting, but not controlling. And I think that that's what we're seeing is like this incredible, like I mean, honestly, still, I'm going to say, man, she seems like a freaking saint. She's way better man than I, Charlie Brown, because she's like so completely in this space where it's like, I'm just glad he's back. I'm glad he's chosen something for himself. Not even like I'm glad he's picked me. It's about time he picked the right choice. It's not that. It's so much more gentle than this. It looks really nice. It looks like these two have like such a sincere and mature like perspective on, you even people that we love dearly can't always be with us right when we wish they could. But these two have a real chance at love. And not only a chance at love, like this is probably the most meaningful and powerful bond. The Chariot, this is like, let's just move on now. Let's go ahead and get to the good parts. It's you and me now. Whatever else came before, whatever blockages there were, let's just move on now. You're here now. We got lots of years left to live. Fuck the past, the wasted time, the time you were stuck. I don't care. You're here now. This is her saying that. She's the one riding the chariot forward. This is her presenting that idea. It doesn't really matter, does it? What matters is what we do after this. What's his response? We have the sun, and we have like full clarity, like this is the sun marrying her. Look, again, highly romantic storyline on this. We simply are setting the stage for the next chapter, and the chapters that came before no longer matter. I'm so glad we got to do a part 2, and I'm so glad it was all about the 1111. I did not intend that. When I did the today's topic video for the 11th, we just got a story that I kind of felt wasn't complete. And then enough of you wanted a follow-up that we're doing this bonus. But it's so perfect that I couldn't get to it until today because I was down yesterday most of the day with my lungs. And so it just turned out perfect. But it feels like this is such a massive threshold because what we really see is a story of characters leaving behind what has already happened. It doesn't matter. There's no need for recrimination. There's no need for, look, you ended a karmic cycle and now you get to live a new cycle of your choosing. And this new cycle is one where the love was always there. It was just kind of, on hold for a little bit. And now this is two characters confidently stepping across that threshold and saying, today marks the day we don't have to look at the past anymore. Let's just move forward. I love it. I absolutely love it for these characters. Now, does it all happen on the 11th? No, energy is a funny thing. Making decisions doesn't mean everything plays out the same way. Think of this. If there's an earthquake, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use a really negative and scary idea, but if there's an earthquake under the sea, some tectonic plates that shift, the earthquake occurs first, and then the tidal wave can come after that. And first, the wave might suck away from the beach, and then it gains momentum as it starts to come back in, and it comes back in a larger wave. And of course, it can be scary and destructive. But this is something where the only reason I'm using that, and I'm sorry to use like a negative image of a tsunami, knowing how dangerous and destructive they've been on Earth in the past, but decisions in life are made long before actions occur sometimes. And then that in turn also are the real repercussions of things sometimes still have like a ripple effect that we haven't seen yet. So this could be the decisions are being made right about now, even if the action hasn't happened yet, but it doesn't matter. The seismic shift has begun in this story. So that's what I'm going to leave this as. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Really nice to see everybody. 11:8, well said. You won't heal by hating the past. You'll heal by building a future that no longer looks like it. That is such a beautiful message. You need to bumper sticker that and sell the hell out of it. That is absolutely beautiful, 11:8. Courtney Walsh, good to see you. Rachel's Magic. And many of you guys wanted the bonus, so I think it was a whole group. Joseph Graham Weisman, it's so nice to see you, babe. Thanks for being here, hun. SLH, hi baby, thank you. Patricia Bucator, lots of love. Bobby Harris, really nice to see you. Yeah, I agree, Bobby. This one did turn out really nice. Lightning Cass, Rock Bottom, love your name, hun. Yell Ruben. It's always my pleasure, babe. Thanks for being here. Thank you for all your incredible generosity, Yell. Joseph, you're awesome. Tammy Secord, oh, so nice to see you, sweetheart. Tammy, my heart is so touched. I have known you for such a long time on my channel. Thank you so much, babe. Hetty, hi, sweetie. And thanks again, Antia 2000. Kimberly B, Cataclysmic Awakening, Nikki O, and Patricia, you were first in the house. Thanks again, you guys. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up. All right, I am still feeling well enough that I'll probably do some zodiacs after this. All right, I'll see how many I get through. We still have a couple of retrograde messages for a few zodiacs. I think I have 3 left to do. I'll probably try to begin with those, and then if I still have some lungs, I might just do Virgo and Libra as well. So hang in there for those. All right, bye guys. Thanks again for being here. Take care.